Hey, what's up guys? This is Brian at Whisper Status 74. This is going to be one of our tech therapy videos. This one will be about upgrading. I throw these videos in every 4 or 5 videos. I've been releasing videos every single day, sometimes twice a day, so please think about liking, subscribing, and hitting that notifications bell, as some of you guys are missing the videos as I'm putting out way too many and I've been told to slow down. I just have too much on my mind. I have Joker review on the device. I have Samsung CES thoughts. I have Vizio Quantum XP series analysis going. But I want to take a second to respond to a lot of your comments. I do respond in the comments. I do talk at length with many of you. As long as the comments are positive and non-toxic, I will always respond. If I miss those comments, please resubmit them and I will definitely get back to you. The big thing now is that CES was ongoing. A lot of you guys are very excited about what you saw, but there is a group of you that is actually buying today, which is why I want to do this video. You're buying yesterday. I'm talking to you now in the comments. And there's been some of you that have purchased new technology. You saw all the specs. You saw everything that you wanted. And we're going to just say you wanted HDR10 Plus. You wanted Dolby Vision. You wanted higher peak brightness. You wanted an OLED. You wanted all the different things that we talk about every single day on all our websites and all of our YouTube channels that you have fallen in love with. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and how we hold on to specs, and myself included, how we hold on to everything that all of us say as just the gospel. And then when we don't see it on screen, there is an underwhelming feeling of, wait, why did I purchase this? So the specific group that I want to talk to out there that is upgrading are those of you that are upgrading from already capable 4K sets. You already have a 4K display. Doesn't matter what brand it is. It already does HDR just fine, and it's the same size. You're not looking at upgrading from a 55 to a 65 or 65 to a 75, so on and so forth. You're finding that you're just a little bored with what you have, and all of the content that I provide, as well as other people in a similar space and the professional channels, as well as the written word, you really want to have this. You really want to have that, and I understand it. I get it. I have a channel built on it. The challenge is you guys are keeping your stuff. You guys are going to be using your stuff every day, where me as a content creator, I'm not going to get too attached to any one thing, as I'm going to be looking at what's new no matter what. For this community, for me, to speak with any specificity, I'm going to need to actually have some of these things and experience them myself. So my example is I have a very capable Sony 900E. It is a 2017 full array, local dimming, HDR capable display. It is one of my favorite displays I've ever had. Many of you actually have this display. You are very, very happy with it, and many of you are very content with it. And you're saying to yourself, I've heard this in the comments, what I saw at CES, I like this, and that, but I'm going to hold on to my display. Now, for comparison, I have behind me a Vizio Quantum XP series. Now, before we say ill, it's a Vizio or ill or whatever, this thing's horsepower and specs annihilate the display that I have and love. So, regardless of what brand it is an upgrade. The question you guys need to ask yourselves as you're looking to make a similar transition, it doesn't matter if it's Sony to Vizio or Sony to Samsung or Sony to Sony, is said purchase worth the sticker amount over what you already own? So this display, regardless of what it costs, is paid for. It was also bought in 2017, where a display of this size was $4,000, $6,000, $7,000. I know, because I bought those, and I ended up settling on the 900E, and the word is settle, because of all the defective panels that I had. And I grew to love it. I grew to fall in love with it. It didn't do everything that the other displays did, but it did everything very well. Where the other displays had those better specs, but had glaring defects or problems. So the Vizio Quantum XP series has a lot of the specs that I have coveted since I went through that experience, namely peak brightness, dimming zones, 480, contrast ratios off the charts, Dolby Vision, which I had with some of the other displays, which I do miss, and now it's here. Now, me being a content creator, these are both mine, and I'm able to have them relatively close to each other. I don't have to rely on my memory of how good things were. Some of you guys are going through this right now. You're buying a new Sony 950G, and you have a Sony 900E. You're upgrading rather quickly because you want Dolby Vision, or you want a couple of these features. The challenge is, unless you're going up in size substantially, the jump, no matter what is said online or whatever the specs may say, it doesn't always translate to the screen, or enough to justify the amount of money you've spent. These displays are expensive. The Vizio Quantum XP series was $2,000 of my money, but it launched at $3,500. Its specs, which I had up here a minute ago, compared to the 900E, they're not even close in terms of contrast ratio. Actually, the contrast ratio is exactly the same, except when local dimming is enabled, then it jumps up quite a bit. It's 4K performance, it's HDR performance, it's higher peak brightness. The 75-inch 900E just touches 1,000, 950 maybe. This thing is almost 3,000 nits. Does that translate to the screen? Is it worth $2,000 more than this one? Now, for me, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm buying it for content. It's something that really interests me and I think interests you guys. And this isn't a Vizio Quantum XP series review. It's just a tech therapy part of should you upgrade. Many of us are attracted to, say it's cars, more horsepower, 20% more, 30% more. The question is, are you going to be able to feel it? The size between the two, they're both 75 inches. But if you're going from a 55-inch TV to a 65-inch TV, even if the 65-inch doesn't perform in every aspect better than the 55-inch, the size alone, the immersion alone, is going to make up for it. And right away, it's an upgrade. Same size is different, and going from different companies is different. If you're with a Sony or you're with a Samsung that you like that better operating system, a lot of these TVs are going to be a step back. Going from Samsung's interface to the Android one, at first I was like, oh my God, like really, what is going on? So you have to be careful when upgrading. And you guys do so much research, which I appreciate. The thing is, sometimes it's too much information. Sometimes we have too many specs on our mind. I know because we have discussions on the channel all day long about, well, no, this one is better because of this. And I would argue that this thing blows away this one. Or I saw on a video that they put these two together and, okay, well, there's a panel by panel variance between two. It's my eye versus that reviewer's eye. It's your eye versus my eye. And then you have Artings with their specs, or Ratings with their specs. The specs are valuable, but they're not the end-all be-all. I like comparing the specs. I do videos on them. It really is very, very interesting. But the question is, are you going to see it? If you have two cars and one has a couple hundred or 100 horsepower more, is the ride better just because it has more horsepower? A lot of times, no. We talked about the Vizio. And the thing is brute force. It is awesome. It is powerful. It is bright. It is strong. Is it elegant? Does it handle things elegantly? Is the local dimming elegant? Is it as good as something like a Sony, which the processing has been just upgraded and made better year after year after year? That's something to take account for, which isn't in those reviews, is how is that processing? How is this company versus that one? But you guys need to give yourselves a little bit more of a thought on that. Are you going to chase Dolby Vision? Having Dolby Vision on a Dolby Vision player, the Panasonic, on a Dolby Vision, not upgraded display, but a native Dolby Vision on this display, is it great? Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, Dolby Vision performance on the Vizio is fantastic. Is it worth $2,000 more than a display that is already capable and is doing a great job? I would argue it isn't. Now, this has nothing to do with my current displays. I'm just having the ability to see them both at the same time. Has this one pulled me away from this one? Not really. I mean, I watched the Joker on both of them. I'm playing my games on the Sony 900E. I'm playing them here. But if this was such an upgrade, I would turn this one off and move it out of the room. And many of you, now for me, it's interesting content to compare them. But for the average person, and I am the average person, but for the average person who is not making content, you might be a little underwhelmed. And you might feel a little deflated in the sense of, wait a second, I like Dolby Vision, but only so much content that I watch is in Dolby Vision. Or maybe this display doesn't have the best Dolby Vision implementation. I've watched some HDR10 Plus material on disc and online. I like it. Is it worth me going from a TV that doesn't have it, say a Sony to a Samsung, for that alone? I would say no, but a lot of you guys are holding on to these specs and these numbers. Again, 480 zones or whatever it has versus this. Is it always evident? Not all the time. Not enough to say that this should replace that, or vice versa. Some of you guys are going from LEDs to OLEDs. You've seen so much about OLEDs and how great the picture quality is that you're actually a little underwhelmed when you get there. I don't suggest going from a 65-inch LED that you actually really like to a 65-inch OLED. To me, OLED's great. Is it perfect? It isn't. The lack of peak brightness isn't going to be on the same planet as this. The contrast ratio in certain scenes, they're going to look similar. If you throw one away from the other, it's not always going to be this trade-off where you're like, oh my God, thank God I did that. It's not always going to be that easy. And I think some of you guys are listening to so much information that you're forgetting how you actually feel. You're forgetting about what you actually want. The Sony 900E, if I wasn't a content creator, if I was somebody who wasn't making videos every single day on the subject, I would not be on YouTube. I would be enjoying this thing. I would be buying maybe more graphics cards. I would be doing what I do in real life, which is, buy games, but I would be enjoying content. I created a channel because I'm going through what so many of you are going through. You're returning TVs, you have defects. I wouldn't even be thinking about this, or any display for that matter, because I have the size I want. So if you're upgrading for size, go get it. If you have an older display that doesn't have HDR at all, and you want HDR, go get one. If you have a display that maybe was very budget at the time, that isn't bright enough, and I don't mean that non-bright displays can't see HDR. What I mean is certain displays that were very budget friendly, that didn't have a wide color gamut and don't get very bright, where there's very little benefit from HDR. If you have one of those displays, upgrading to any of these displays or any of the top or mid displays is going to be a massive upgrade, even at the same size. That's not the group I'm talking to. The group I'm talking to is you already have a very capable display that is very good, but you want amazing. Perfect isn't out there. It isn't out there. That's why micro LED is so attractive to so many people, is because they feel like it's going to give you the peak brightness of an LED and OLED's blacks without burn-in. We're going to have to see if it actually happens, and we'll have to wait. Maybe that would be a just substantial jump. But I've seen the Z9 at Value Electronics. I've seen the Z9G up close. They are amazing. They're beautiful. Are they quadruple the price of what you have? Beautiful. Now, if you want to buy one because it's 80 inches, that's another conversation. But at the same size, it's not going to be worth that. We argued the Z9F at launch was not worth the price. Well, now that it's costing, it's $2,000 or $2,500, that TV is worth it. It's a Master Series. But is it worth going from what I have to that? It's not $2,000 better or $3,000 better, because you already have a display that covers all the bases. It already does HDR fine. I love Dolby Vision. I have fallen in love with Dolby Vision. Is it necessary? No. If you have a Samsung, should you feel bad that you don't have Dolby Vision? No. I would argue that you could have a Samsung, use a player like the Panasonic, go in with the HDR optimizer, and make it seem more Dolby Vision. I was just talking to Faded Black about this. It's about being able to use optimizers and your players to make the picture look to your desired whatever you want out of it. But to chase one or the other, I wouldn't get rid of a Dolby Vision display for HDR10 Plus. But I already have HDR. Is it the best on the 900E? No, it's not the very, very best. It's good, and it's good enough. To me, it's not a big deal. This is why I'm doing this. But for you guys, it would be a big deal to take a step up, spend $2,000 or $3,000, maybe more, and say, I don't know if I made the right choice. Our families are suffering from it. Our wives, our husbands, your partners, whatever, they're nuts that you're taking TVs up and putting them down and you're pixel peeping and you're watching. It's because the upgrade isn't necessary always. Now for me, if I was going to a 77-inch C9 over the 900E, that's a display that I'm always eyeing. That TV is also 77 inches versus 75. It's larger. It's not just larger diagonally, it's larger width and height. It's a new technology. It will be much different than what I have. That might be enough to say, wow, that's a huge difference versus a LED of the same size, or say in a Q90R of 80 inches would be like, whoa, okay, the size. Do you follow me? Like, there has to be a reason. So for you, I know it's getting long. It's a long video. These tech therapy videos are long. I apologize. If you're upgrading, make sure it's for the right reasons. If you're upgrading for size, awesome. Features you don't have or features your display can't show, upgrade. If you already have a capable display, I'm talking to you guys that have a 900E, you have a 900F, you have a Q8FN, you have especially a Q9FN. But even if you have a KS9000, a KS9000, if you have you know what I'm saying, especially if you have an OLED. If you have an OLED from a couple of years ago, jumping up isn't going to be worth it. Now, HDMI 2.1 is very exciting if you're a gamer. If you're not a gamer, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. For me, I'll benefit from it because I have a NVIDIA card. I want to use G-Sync. I am going to want to do 4K at 120 FPS. I will have a graphics card that can do that. Well, the Xbox One Series and PS5, they may be able to do that. I'll be using that more than most of you. But plenty of you guys that are into movies are caught up in HDMI 2.1. You're caught up with 8K. Don't let 8K bother you. There is a group of people that it's out there for. Filmmakers, directors, photographers. It's coming, it's marketing, but people can use it. But don't let it bother you. Don't let it bother you and make you feel like you have to jump to anything. Just enjoy what you have if you're not ready. But don't let that curiosity make you make a huge purchase that you're going to regret the minute you purchase it. For me, again, it's content. I'm excited. I bought the Vizio much later for other reasons. I couldn't manage it at the time. It was sold out. To me, I'm curious to see how it does. I'm curious to see how Vizio competes. But spec-wise, on the page, it's not close. They're not close. Visually, are they close? They're closer than you think. But, and this again, this isn't a review, but is it worth $2,000 more? Now, if you want to take one and put it in your living room and switch them around, yeah, if you have that, hold on. Now, just to reset, if you're new to 4K, if you're new to Dolby Vision, you're new to that, this stuff is going to blow you away. But if you're already familiar to it, if you're already used to an 1,000 nit display, you're not going to always see the difference in a 3,000 nit one. If you're somebody who loves HDR, Dolby Vision might not be the only reason to upgrade. So this video is very simply to say to you guys that are already on the verge, you're pretty content, but you're tempted. I would say wait. I would say wait until you see HDMI 2.1 on all your displays, if gaming is something you care about. Don't just go by what I say with OLED. Go rent one. Go spend time at these stores and really check them out. But you might find that it's not as big a jump as you think. The drawback, or I should say the overall thoughts with CES was, yes, there's a lot of new stuff coming out, but that OLED and LED have kind of hit that wall. No matter how amazing they are, they're not going to blow away a lot of what you already have. So the point of the whole long video is to learn to be a little bit content, upgrade for the right reasons, but don't upgrade just because you want a little something new. Unless you're wealthy. You're wealthy, buy whatever you want. But the conversations I'm having in the community are people that are conscious of their prices. They're conscious of the money they're spending. And they find it to be underwhelming when they're bringing them home. So this is just kind of a little heads up for you guys that are starting to make purchases to be a little bit careful and enjoy what you have, especially at the same size, and just to be patient with your purchases. Don't make any snap judgment purchases or quick purchases. I'm Brian from WhisperStatus74. Sorry for the long vid. I will see you in the comments, and thank you as always to all you guys in the community. Love you guys. Talk to you. Bye.